Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and I've got another letter for you today. Now, if you haven't seen the video that I did yesterday on POTUS's letter to Nancy Pelosi, you really got to see that one. And, if you're short on time, just put it on double speed because you can probably listen faster than I could talk. And it's well worth reading. If you don't even have time for that, maybe you can get the link down below in the description and get the document itself and read it. But it's so full of stuff. It is great to read. You need to read it. So if you've already read that one, then we can go on with this one. This came out on the 15th. There was a letter that Devin Nunes sent to Adam Schiff. Now, if you recall back in, I think it was February of 2018, Devin Nunes, after finding out this information that the Trump team had been spied on and everything, he knew all this stuff because he was at the time the chairman of the Intel Committee. And now he's the ranking member, and Adam Schiff, who was the ranking member, is now the chairman. So they flip-flop roles there, after the 2018 election. But at the time that these memos came out, Devin Nunes was the chairman. He went into a skiff at the White House and he saw things that needed to come out and information that he felt the American public needed to know. So he wrote a memo and he released it. Okay? Now, Adam Schiff, of course, didn't want to be one-upped, so he wrote a memo too, rebutting Nunes's memo. And the two memos were definitely two different sides of the story. Well, now we've found out who was telling the truth. And Devin Nunes is doing a victory lap because he's going, see, I was right all along. I've been vindicated. So he deserves it. Well-deserved lap there. All that we found out about the Spygate and everything that's been coming out with the FISA report, it proved that Schiff's memo was pretty much a product of Schiff. So it was not really worth the paper it was written on. I wanted to point this article out to you. This is from the Federalist, a really good article that talks about how the IG report basically debunks everything Adam Schiff was saying in that memo. The link will be down below. It's a really good article to read, kind of long, but I think you'd like it. And then I'll put this link down below too. This is the Zero Hedge, which deals more with Devin Nunes's letter that I'm going to read to you in just a minute. This gives you an overview and kind of hits the highlights in case you don't have time for the whole letter. But the letter itself, I found here on this Julie Kelly tweet, but I only found it in pictures, okay? I didn't find the actual document itself. So I'm doing it this way. And that means that it may go a little weird because I've got to do things a little differently here. And I'll try to make it so it's all legible and it's a little fuzzier when it comes out this way. So, but anyway, you can still read it, hopefully. And it came out on December 15th. And I was going to do this one yesterday, but then POTUS sent out his letter. That just turned everything upside down. It was a Q day, So anyway, dear Chairman Schiff, as you are aware, on December 9th, 2019, U.S. Department of Justice Inspector General I.G. Horowitz published the results of his investigation of the FISA warrant and renewals obtained by the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Justice to spy on Trump campaign associate Carter Page. The IG's findings of pervasive major abuses by the FBI dramatically contradict the assertions of your memo released on February 24th, 2018. Yeah, that's when Schiff put his memo out. Nunes's came out right before that, in which you claimed, quote, FBI and DOJ officials did not abuse the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act process, omit material information, or subvert this vital tool to spy on the Trump campaign. And now we know, after publishing false conclusions of such enormity on a topic directly within this committee's oversight responsibilities, it is clear you are in need of rehabilitation. And I hope this letter will serve as the first step in that vital process. He doesn't mince words in this. Devin Nunes has had his fill, and he is such a fighter. We needed a man like that in this position. I can't imagine anybody doing a better job going up against Schiff and all of his lies than Devin Nunes. He's been great. Outlining every false claim from your memo would require an extremely long letter, so I will limit my summary to a few highlights. See, I was going to do that too, and I thought, no, that's going to take too long. In your memo, you made the following assertions. FBI and DOJ officials did not omit material information from the FISA warrant. The DOJ, quote, made only narrow use of information from Christopher Steele's sources about Page's specific activities in 2016. In subsequent FISA renewals, DOJ provided additional information that corroborates Steele's reporting. The Page FISA warrant allowed the FBI to collect, quote, valuable intelligence. Quote, far from omitting material facts about Steele, as the majority claims, DOJ repeatedly informed the court about Steele's background, credibility, and potential bias. The FBI conducted a rigorous process to vet Steele's allegations, and the Page FISA application explained the FBI's reasonable basis for finding Steele credible. I mean, you just have to laugh when you know these are just out and out plain false lies. Steele's prior reporting was used in criminal proceedings. Okay? The IG report has exposed all these declarations as false. Despite your denial of any problems with the FISA warrant, the IG found, and here's where the truth comes in, information provided by Christopher Steele played a, quote, central and essential role in the decision to seek a FISA warrant on Carter Page. There were 17, quote, significant errors or omissions in the FISA application and renewals, and the IG did not get satisfactory explanations for them. The Crossfire Hurricane team failed to inform the DOJ of, quote, significant information, and, quote, much of that information was inconsistent with or undercut assertions in the FISA applications. There's so much. I mean, really, if you went through all of Adam Schiff's memo, it just would take forever to put it together and, and debunk each one as it goes. So the FBI relied solely on Steele information for its assertions about Page's alleged coordination with Russians to hack the 2016 elections. The applications omitted information provided to the FBI about Page's operational contact with another U.S. government agency and the agency's positive assessment of him. In fact, an FBI official altered an email stating that Page was a source for another government agency in order to have it read the opposite, that he was not a source. FBI Director James Comey and Deputy Director Andy McCabe sought to include Steele's reporting in the intelligence community assessment, even though the CIA dismissed the Steele information as, quote, internet rumor. In FBI interviews, Steele's own sources contradicted information from Steele that was used in the FISA applications. The significance of Steele's prior reporting was, quote, overstated. None of the Steele reporting on Carter Page used in the FISA applications could be corroborated, and some of it contradicted other information in the FBI's possession. The FBI omitted information about Steele's bias provided by DOJ official Bruce Orr. The applications omitted exculpatory statements by Page and others. The FBI failed to reveal in the applications that the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign were receiving and or funding Steele's work through Fusion GPS. Overall, the Inspector General found, quote, that so many basic and fundamental errors were made by 3 separate hand-picked teams on one of the most sensitive FBI investigations that was briefed to the highest levels within the FBI, and that FBI officials expected would eventually be subjected to close scrutiny, raised significant questions regarding the FBI chain of command's management and supervision of the FISA process. In our view, this was a failure of not only the operational team, but also of the managers and supervisors, including senior officials in the chain of command. That's Horowitz and his team. Indeed, the problems are so severe that the Inspector General has initiated an audit to further investigate FBI's compliance with Woods procedures in FISA applications. As you know, your misguided validation of the FISA warrant was part of a years-long pattern in which you touted Christopher Steele's credentials and reliability. For example, during this committee's March 20th, 2017 open hearing, you claimed Steele, quote, is reportedly held in high regard by U.S. intelligence, and proceeded to read into the congressional record numerous conspiracy theories proffered by Steele, all of which are false. These included Carter Page had a secret meeting with Rosneft CEO Igor Sechin. Sechin offered Page a brokerage fee involving the sale of 19% of Rosneft. Russians offered the Trump campaign dirt on Hillary Clinton in exchange for the Trump administration adopting policies favorable to Russia. Paul Manafort chose Page to act as a go-between for the Trump campaign in Russia. As is clear from the IG report, Carter Page was the victim of a smear campaign that was funded by the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign and was implemented by Christopher Steele and Fusion GPS. The FBI used these false allegations to obtain a warrant to spy on Page, a gross violation of an American citizen's civil liberties. Your direct participation in the smear campaign against Page is extremely concerning, considering you are chairman of the committee responsible for uncovering precisely these sorts of abuses by the intelligence community. Instead of joining committee Republicans in exposing these abuses, however, you excuse them. And by supporting the agency's stonewalling of our attempts to gather information on this affair, you helped cover up this misconduct. I am particularly concerned by the press release you issued after the release of the IG report. I applaud you for acknowledging that the report identified, quote, issues and errors and, quote, potential misconduct connected to the FISA warrant. This acknowledgement, though dramatically downplaying the scale of the abuse the IG uncovered, could be a valuable first step, a baby step, but a step nonetheless, in your rehabilitation. Nevertheless, in your statement, you expressed full faith in FBI Director Christopher Wray's promise to address the problem, demanded that the implementation of reforms be confined to, quote, career officials away from the political arena, and denounced Attorney General Bill Barr and U.S. Attorney John Durham for expressing concerns about these matters. This makes it clear your rehabilitation will be a long, arduous process. As previously noted, this committee is responsible for overseeing the intelligence community and exposing abuses. Yet when the IG identified gross abuses in our jurisdiction, you expressed full faith in the agencies we're supposed to be vigilantly monitoring. And you rejected any oversight whatsoever of their supposed cleanup efforts. If agencies with a documented severe abuse problem should be trusted to police themselves, then it's fair to ask why this committee even exists and what we're supposed to be doing, if anything, aside from being exploited by you as a launching pad to impeach the president for issues that have no intelligence component at all. As part of your rehabilitation, I like how he keeps saying that. This is just too funny. As part of your rehabilitation, it's crucial that you admit you have a problem. You are hijacking the Intelligence Committee for political purposes while excusing and covering up intelligence agency abuses. The next step will be to convene a hearing with IG Horowitz, as the Senate Judiciary Committee has done, and the Senate Homeland Security Committee will do next week. And by the way, that was taking place today, and I am watching that one too. There's just a lot that happened today on Wednesday when I'm recording this. I understand taking action on this issue will be difficult for you, as it will be an implicit acknowledgement that you were wrong to deny these abuses and that you were complicit in the violation of American civil rights. I also understand that such an acknowledgement is made even more difficult by the fact that you've already been discredited by your years-long false claim that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia to hack the 2016 presidential election. Nevertheless, I refuse to believe you are beyond redemption. I invite you to work closely with me on your rehabilitation program and look forward to your scheduling a committee hearing with IG Horowitz at the nearest opportunity. Oh my goodness, that is something. Devin, great job. I love this guy. He is such a good fighter. And you know what? He's not taking any of this stuff from him anymore. He's had it. So I really do admire him for standing up because, you know, folks, keep him in your prayers because he's been through a lot. I mean, they've been attacking him. I don't know if you're aware on Twitter, they have made up all these names that use Devin Nunes in them, like Devin Nunes's cow and several of them. I mean, it's really sad. And they are just trashing him every time you turn around. In fact, if you go to his Twitter feed and any tweet that he does, and you look at the comments, it's almost like going to President Trump's because the trolls just attack. And I think it's a coordinated effort because he's dangerous to them. And he calls them out. And I love the way he says that Schiff here needs rehabilitation. I don't know. He says he's not beyond redemption, but you know what? I'm kind of thinking maybe Adam Schiff has hit that part. Because I know that in Romans 1, it says that God gave him over to a reprobate mind. And I think there's a lot of people that have just given up on any conscience whatsoever. And everything now is working out of a reprobate mind. I think there does come a time when you've just rejected everything good for so long that the concept of embracing anything good just, you know, repulses you. And I think that's where these people are. They cannot even fathom admitting that they did anything wrong. That's something that you're never going to see any of them say that they're sorry for what they did. And they are all part of it. So that's what I've got for you on that one. I've got to get back to watching these hearings. Oh my goodness. And the House floor debate today that's debating on the articles of impeachment is just ludicrous because everybody gets like 1 minute and that's about all they get, which is crazy. And it's going back and forth and nobody's going to change anybody's mind on this. It's just not going to happen. The Democrats keep saying the same lies over and over and over again. And they say it's obvious and it's undeniable. And it's like, no, it is deniable because what you're saying is just not true. So that's what's going on. It's nothing new. I haven't heard anybody say anything that's new, but I thought at least I would suffer through it because it is history in the making. So yeah, but I'm doing it double speed, folks. Definitely double speed. But at the same time, that's going on in the House. In the Senate, I believe what it says here, like the Homeland Security Committee, is grilling Horowitz again. So yeah, I want to watch that one too. I almost decided just to watch that, but you know, the House thing is very important. And on Twitter, I noticed that my representative, Jackie Walorski, had already spoken on the House floor. I listened to her. She did a good job. Of course, she only got a minute, but you know, she did a really good job with what she had to say, and she supports the president. So there's not a problem there. But I'll tell you what, the trolls attacked her Twitter feed because she posted a clip of it and they just went insane. And I had one of them who responded to me, this one person, and they said, well, he's obviously done all these things wrong. And I answered him, I said, no, he hasn't. These are, you know, not facts. And the person said, well, if you don't have any proof, then you better be quiet. Okay, so then I started telling the whole story of Ukraine and all the corruption that was in Ukraine. And I'll tell you, once you learn about that and you learn just how corrupt Ukraine was and the money laundering that was going on and everything, then you start to understand why Trump had concerns and why he was a little leery of Zelensky, even no matter what the other people in the government were saying that, yeah, it was okay to pass it on to Ukraine, because Zelensky had brought some people from the previous administration into his administration. They aren't necessarily trustworthy people. Trump was a little leery about that. And that's what he was asking about. That's what he was talking about in that transcript. So, when you know that, I guess maybe you see the transcript totally different, because I know how corrupt Ukraine was. I know what was going on. I know that there was a lot of money laundering. So, yeah, I guess I just can't see it the same way as these liberals. I see nothing wrong with what he did, of course, but they seem to see it differently because that's the narrative they've been told. And we know that when you hear the same lies over and over and over again, then you start to believe them, even if you know for sure they're not true. And especially when you hear them from trusted, and I put that in quotation marks, trusted news sources, because you expect our media to be at least giving out facts and not propaganda, but that's not the situation we're in. Not at all. So, yeah. That's what I've got for you on this one. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.